Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Yeshi Chadzam. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Tuesday, the 24th of November. Indian Prime Minister Modi discusses COVID-19 situation, vaccine distribution with chief ministers. President Ghani says Afghanistan wants connectivity, not charity, at International Donor Conference. And India releases 24 Pakistani nationals arrested for crossing border illegally. And now for all the details. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday held a virtual meet with chief ministers of states to review the country's coronavirus situation and vaccine distribution strategy. He urged states to send details on how they plan to take the vaccine to lowest levels so that the distribution plan can be chalked out with collective coordination.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday interacted with chief ministers of state via video conferencing to review the COVID-19 situation amid a surge in infections in the country, along with vaccine distribution plan. The Prime Minister assured the states that the vaccine against COVID-19 which India will get for its citizens will be safe on all scientific standards. He said vaccine distribution strategy will be chalked out in collective coordination and states should soon send details on how they plan to take the vaccine to lowest levels. This comes as the centre is betting on the 5 vaccine candidates that are currently undergoing advanced stages of clinical trials in India.
हमारे लिए जितनी जरूरी है स्पीड है उतनी ही जरूरी है सेफ्टी भी है। भारत जो भी वैक्सीन अपने नागरिकों को देगा वो हर वैज्ञानिक कसौटी पर खरी होगी। जहां तक वैक्सीन के डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की बात है तो उसकी तैयारी भी आप सभी राज्यों के साथ मिलकर के की जा रही है।
The meeting came as India's COVID-19 caseload on Tuesday surged past 9.17 million with over 134,000 deaths. The Prime Minister said while India is in a better situation than other countries, it still needs to bring the positivity rate below 5% and there should be no laxity in the fight against the virus.
As cyclonic storm Nivar is likely to cross southern parts of India on November 25, rain lashed out in parts of Tamil Nadu state on Tuesday. The India Meteorological Department has issued a red alert for Tamil Nadu and Puducherry, while a yellow alert has been issued for coastal Andhra Pradesh and Telangana states.
With Cyclone Nivar expected to make landfall along India's Tamil Nadu coast and Puducherry coast on November 25th, rain lashed parts of the southern Tamil Nadu state on Tuesday. The Indian Meteorological Department or IMD has issued a red alert for Tamil Nadu and Puducherry, while a yellow alert has been issued for coastal Andhra Pradesh and Telangana states where heavy rainfall is expected at isolated places.
Actually, this is crossing tomorrow evening around 5 p.m. So the severe weather will be start by tomorrow forenoon. So if you see in terms of the rain, south of the Puducherry, north of the Puducherry, all will have a rain of 20 to 35 centimeters.
Meanwhile, in an effort to provide any needed assistance during the cyclonic storm's landfall, 30 NDRF teams have been deployed across Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and Puducherry. Cyclone Nivar will be the second severe cyclone of the year in Bay of Bengal following Cyclone Amphan in May. This is the second cyclone to cross Tamil Nadu after Cyclone Gaja, which hit the state in 2018.
In news from Afghanistan, Afghan President Ashraf Ghani on Monday said his country wants connectivity, not charity, as he underscored the need for strong regional consensus for creating sustainable peace in Afghanistan while addressing a side event of the Geneva conference virtually.
Afghan President Ashraf Ghani on Monday said his country wants connectivity, not charity, as he addressed a side event of the Geneva conference virtually. Ghani stressed that a strong regional consensus is essential to creating sustainable peace in Afghanistan after having reached an agreed-upon end state for a political settlement. He also emphasized that the violence the Afghans suffer is beyond endurance.
utilize existing forums for building consensus on creating predictable environments for regional cooperation on trade, transit, and investment, thereby enabling the Afghan people to lift ourselves through participation in functioning in reliable supply chains and value chains. We don't want charity, we want connectivity.
Meanwhile, participants of the 2020 Geneva Conference on Afghanistan said that ongoing peace efforts with Taliban in Doha should lead to a reduction in violence in the country, and reaching a ceasefire is urgent. Afghan Foreign Minister Mohammad Hanif Atmar said that without a peace deal, the Afghan government has released hundreds of Taliban prisoners, but violence is still high.
Chinese ambassador to Nepal Hou Yanqi has yet again expedited meetings with top leaders of ruling Nepal Communist Party as tensions escalate in the party over underlying differences between two factions. Ambassador Hou, after meeting with Prime Minister and co-chair of NCP KP Sharma Oli on November 17, has now met with his co-chair Pushpa Kamal Dahal.
Amid increasing rifts in ruling NCP, Nepal Communist Party, Chinese ambassador to Nepal Hou Yanqi held a meeting with executive chairman of the NCP, Pushpa Kamal Dahal, on Monday. The meeting comes at a time when an intra-party rift within the ruling NCP is at its peak due to factional feuds between the two rival factions, one led by Dahal and the other led by Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli. The latest meeting has courted controversy. However, Dahal's press advisor Bishnu Sapkota said that there was no discussion on the party's internal dispute during the meeting. This is not the first time that the Chinese ambassador has expressed deep interest in the internal dynamics of the ruling party. Earlier in May, Envoy Yanqi had intensified political meetings with the top guns of the ruling party as the NCP was on the verge of a split. The active engagement of a diplomat in Nepal's internal political affairs has raised many questions. The latest meeting also comes ahead of the Chinese Defense Minister Wei Fenghe's visit to the Himalayan nation next week.
Moving on, as Pakistan continues to record rise in COVID-19 cases, government has imposed lockdown in parts of the country yet again. Government in Sindh has allotted time for opening markets and business centres, while authorities in Karachi has enforced smart lockdown in hotspots. Pakistan is currently facing second wave of the deadly virus, which has infected 379,883 people so far.
As Pakistan continues to reel under the impact of COVID-19, authorities in parts of the country are edging towards lockdown yet again. The country facing a second wave of the deadly virus on Tuesday reported 379,883 confirmed coronavirus cases with over 7,700 deaths so far. Government in Sindh province taking drastic measures has ordered markets and business centres to be open only from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. on weekdays and remain closed on weekends. This comes as city administration has already enforced smart and micro-smart lockdowns in several emerging hotspots across the country's largest city of Karachi over the weekend for 14 days to deal with the rising virus cases.
ये चीज़ें बहुत से ऐसे तबकात हैं जो हमारी नज़रों में नहीं आए, वो आज तक सफ़र कर रहे हैं. ये जिम्मेदारी हुकूमत की है, हुकूमत को सोचना चाहिए कि वो क्या कर रही है.
Meanwhile, locals in Pakistan-administered Kashmir also expressed concern over the ongoing 15-day lockdown amid rising virus cases in the illegally occupied region. They said they had suffered a lot earlier and are losing their already affected businesses.
हमारा दुकानों का किराया ये बिजली का बिल है ना, घर का खर्चा है ना, अभी माल उधार मिला है, वो लोग पैसे मांगते हैं ना, वो तो नहीं छोड़ते ना, अभी किराया का टेंशन भी हो.
Pakistan-administered Kashmir has so far recorded 6,203 coronavirus cases alone.
More on news from Pakistan. Officials and well-wishers gathered at Islamabad Zoo on Monday for a farewell party of Pakistan's lonely elephant Kaavan before he sets off for a new life in Cambodia this week. After years of campaigning by animal rights advocates, Kaavan is finally set to be airlifted to an elephant sanctuary on November 29.
Officials and well-wishers gathered at Islamabad Zoo on Monday for a farewell party for Pakistan's lonely elephant Kaavan, who is said to be airlifted to an elephant sanctuary in Cambodia on November 29 to begin a new life amongst the herd after years of campaigning by animal rights advocates and pop star Cher. Children posed for photos and musicians perform in front of the enclosure, with Kaavan, known to be a fan of music, at one point serenaded while he snacked on some grass. To mark the occasion, officials including lawmakers and Pakistan's climate change minister gathered among balloons and signs saying, "Farewell Kaavan, we will miss you."
Our children used to visit it and they enjoyed its company. It was life of the Islamabad Zoo, it was life of Islamabad, and we're all going to miss him so much, and we're so sad that we didn't really fulfill our part of the responsibility to him, and we couldn't take care of him that well.
Kaavan will be airlifted to Cambodia after training for weeks with international specialists armed with treats such as bananas to get him used to the small enclosure and loud noises expected on a 10-hour flight.
Around 24 Pakistani prisoners returned to their homes on Tuesday as they were released by India on completion of their sentence. The prisoners, including 20 fishermen who were arrested for entering Indian waters illegally, were repatriated through the Attari-Wagah international border. Due to the rocky relations between the two sides, prisoners who have completed their jail terms often languish in each other's jails for months, if not years, afterwards.
हमारे सीनियर ने हमको 2 दिन पहले बताया था कि गुजरात में जो पाकिस्तान के रास्ते अप्रॉक्सीमेट 20 मछुआरे थे वो गलती से घुस गए थे, उनकी सज़ा पूरी हो चुकी है, जिनको आज रिलीज़ कर रहे हैं. इसके अलावा अमृतसर से 3 और 1 लुधियाना जेल 24 पर्सन हैं जो आज रिलीज़ करके पाकिस्तान हैंड ओवर किए जा रहे हैं.
It has been a journey against many odds for an Indian couple who had a tough time convincing their families, who had several apprehensions about their decision to get married. Defying the odds, the quadriplegic bridegroom took wedding vows on his wheelchair with his emotionally charged bride in northern Chandigarh city. Have a look. The story of Rahul Singh Divakar and Anamika, both 29, is inspiring and one of true love. It has been a journey against many odds for childhood sweethearts Rahul and his bride Anamika, who had a tough time convincing their families, who had several apprehensions about their decision to get married. Rahul, a quadriplegic, has been admitted in the Chandigarh Spinal Rehab since September. The centre was abuzz with activity on Monday as it hosted his wedding. Rahul took Feras, the vows, keeping the holy pyre as the witness on his wheelchair with Anamika.
एक ऐसी चीज़ है जो कभी रुकती नहीं है. अगर साथ देने वाला, अगर आपका साथी अगर अच्छा है, तो आप अच्छी सी लाइफ भी जी सकते हैं और सब कुछ कर सकते हैं. अगर मन में विश्वास है, तो आप नौकरी कर सकते हैं, जिससे आपकी लाइफ अच्छी आ जाती है. अगर डिसेबल है, तो इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि सब कुछ खत्म हो गया.
Anamika has also been putting up at the centre ever since Rahul came here, and thanked Nikki Kaur, founder and CEO of Chandigarh Spinal Rehab, for the help.
मेरे लिए यही काफ़ी है कि निकी मैम ने इस चीज़ को समझा है और समझने के बाद आज 2 बच्चों को अपनाया.
Rahul, who shared the journey, said even though the lower half of his body was completely paralyzed after a bike accident in 2016, it made no difference to Anamika's love for him. Well, that's all we have for you from South Asia this evening. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/AsAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @AsAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.